Two prominent female activists have gone missing after a protest in Kabul calling for women's rights. Parwana Ibrahim Khail and Tamana Paryani were reportedly abducted late on Wednesday night. In an interview with the BBC, the Taliban has denied detaining them. America's top diplomat, Antony Blinken, has given a warning that any Russian crossing of the Ukraine border will trigger response. Speaking ahead of a meeting with the Russian counterpart on Friday, he added that Europe and the US will act as one. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he will fight any challenge to his leadership of the Conservative Party. He insisted he's focusing on clearing the COVID backlog, which he says is the #1 concern of people in the UK. The first plane loads of aid have landed in Tonga following Saturday's volcanic eruption and tsunami. They touched down at the Pacific nation's main airport, which had to be cleared of volcanic ash.
In Germany, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warns Russia of a swift, severe answer if its military forces enter Ukraine. In Liberia, at least 29 people die when a crowd at a religious ceremony stampedes after being threatened by attackers with knives. The U.S. Supreme Court rules that former President Donald Trump cannot prevent Congress from getting records linked to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And in Belgium, 19-year-old Zara Rutherford becomes the youngest woman to fly alone around the world after a 5-month trip.
President Biden closes the book on his first year in office by facing the press for nearly 2 hours. This morning, year 2 starts with soaring inflation and a stalled agenda. So what's the president's plan? Hitting reset.
The public doesn't want me to be the president's senator. They want me to be the president.
How the president is planning to change his messaging strategy and try to get parts of his Build Back Better plan passed in year 2. But overnight, a major defeat for President Biden's agenda, with senators voting to reject a change to the filibuster. It's something that would have helped pass 2 key voting rights bills. Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema voting with Republicans against the rule change. What's next for the fight for voting rights? Key evidence, a win for the January 6th committee this morning after the Supreme Court rejected former President Trump's effort to keep documents from his time in the White House secret. The reason the court chose to let the documents go public. And special delivery on board. A passenger goes into labor mid-flight, giving birth while flying over the Nile. Thankfully, there was a doctor on board, and she joins us live on Morning News Now, how she, along with other passengers, sprang into action and the special gift the new mother gave her. That's just an amazing one.
Absolutely. Excited to hear.
Omicron has been spreading in various parts of the world for months, and now it's fueling a rapid surge in case numbers in Japan. Authorities confirmed more than 46,000 new infections across the country on Thursday, the 3rd consecutive day of record-breaking tallies. The largest hotspot is Tokyo, where officials once again logged more new cases than ever on Thursday, with the figure surpassing 8,600. And infections are spreading fast.
I want people to act as though the Omicron variant is very near at hand, or may even have already infected them or someone they love.
Okinawa and 2 other prefectures were the first to be granted quasi-emergency powers by the central government. On Friday, such declarations will be expanded to cover 13 more jurisdictions, including Tokyo. This will give local officials the authority to take stricter measures, such as calling on bars and restaurants to take greater precautions. Such strictures could include a pause in alcohol sales, early closing times, and limits on customer numbers. The central government is expected to further expand the number of locales given quasi-emergency status. In the western prefecture of Osaka, Thursday's case count was nearly 6,000, slightly less than the record logged the day before. Governor Yoshimura Hirofumi wants Osaka to be granted quasi-emergency powers in conjunction with neighboring Hyogo and Kyoto.
Intensive measures will help slow the wave of infections as much as possible.
This will lead to reducing the strain on the medical system.
Similar requests are coming from other parts of Japan. Hokkaido also wants quasi-emergency powers. The daily case count there was above 1,400 on Thursday, the second consecutive day of record-setting figures. A panel of experts convened by the Health Ministry has discussed ways to address the unprecedented surge. Among other proposals was the suggestion that younger patients be diagnosed and treated based on their symptoms alone, allowing care providers to concentrate on the elderly and others at a higher level of risk. Well, the nations of Southeast Asia are also tackling the spread of Omicron, but some in the region are moving toward easing COVID restrictions. Thailand has decided to resume its arrival quarantine waiver after suspending the scheme last month. The Thai COVID task force announced on Thursday that fully vaccinated travelers from all countries can start applying for entry on February 1st. They'll be required to undergo 2 COVID tests during the first week, in addition to a pre-entry test. The decision came as the country saw a surge in new cases after the New Year holidays. The daily cases have been hovering around 6,000 to 8,000 over the past 2 weeks. But a government spokesperson said the situation has stabilized and that he would like the people's lives to return to normal as soon as possible. The tourism-reliant country saw nearly 40 million arrivals a year before the pandemic, but last year the figure dropped to around 200,000. The quarantine waiver program attracted about 350,000 visitors in the 2 months before it was suspended. The Malaysian government also announced an easing of restrictions for the upcoming Chinese New Year to allow family reunion dinners and house visits. Authorities said on Wednesday that house visits during the first 2 weeks of the new year will be allowed with no travel restrictions. Malaysia reported over 3,200 daily infections on Wednesday. Next to Tonga, where relief supplies have finally arrived 5 days after disaster struck. Planes carrying humanitarian supplies from both New Zealand and Australia have landed. More are on the way. The government of Tonga says 3 people have been confirmed dead and many others were injured in Saturday's volcanic explosion. Securing access to safe drinking water is a top priority. Water supplies are low due to volcanic ash and tsunami contamination. The ash made the airport inaccessible for days. This Australian military transport plane landed once the runway was cleared, carrying sweepers to ensure it stays that way. All of the supplies were unloaded without human contact to comply with Tonga's strict anti-coronavirus restrictions. Japan has also joined in the international effort. The Defense Ministry is dispatching 2 aircraft to deliver drinking water. They'll first head to Australia, where Japan is to base its effort to assist the Pacific Island nation. A Self-Defense Forces transport ship is also set to deliver emergency items, including high-pressure cleaning devices to help remove volcanic ash at key sites. Japanese personnel are to set up a base of operations in Australia, where they will work to assess the damage in Tonga and coordinate relief efforts with other nations. Meanwhile, tsunamis from the volcanic eruption have been blamed for losses in a fishing community in Japan. Tens of thousands of fish were found dead or damaged. The fish are horse mackerel. They were kept in netted enclosures in the port in the southwestern city of Nichinang. They were due to be used as live bait for longline tuna fishing. Tsunamis of up to 60 centimeters were observed at the port early on Sunday. The owner of the enclosures later found the damage.
On top of the pandemic, this is hard to bear.
The owner of the enclosures says the fish likely bumped against each other or into the nets due to rough waves. He says most that survived were injured and weak. More than 120,000 horse mackerel were ruined. The damage is estimated at about $34,000. South Korean military sources say there are signs that North Korea is preparing for a military parade. The sources said on Thursday that a parade is not imminent and that they need to watch carefully to figure out the timing. South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported frequent movements of North Korean military trucks and personnel at Mirim Airport outside Pyongyang. The North is known to use the airport to rehearse military parades. The news agency said a parade could be held on February 16th at the earliest. That's the 80th anniversary of the birth of the late Kim Jong-il. He was the father of the current leader, Kim Jong-un. If North Korea holds a military parade, it'll be the first since January last year. An official from the U.S. Embassy in Japan has visited a beach on the Sea of Japan coast where a Japanese couple was abducted by North Korea decades ago. First Secretary Buyon Lee, who's in charge of North Korean affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, visited the site in the city of Kashiwazaki, Niigata Prefecture. 44 years ago, agents from the north abducted Hasuike Kaoru and his then-girlfriend, now wife, Yukiko, from the beach. The couple returned home to Japan in 2002 after the North admitted to having abducted Japanese nationals. Lee later attended a meeting with Hasuike Kaoru and the mayor at City Hall.
In order to resolve the abduction issue, we need the cooperation of the U.S. government more than ever.
The U.S. government stands in solidarity with the Japanese government on the immediate resolution of this terrible tragedy.
Lee is scheduled to visit a site in Niigata City on Friday, where another Japanese national, Yokota Megumi, was abducted by North Korean agents. The New Year Grand Sumo Tournament has entered its home stretch. NHK World's resident sumo expert Morita Hiroshi has an update on the championship race.
After 11 days, Yokozuna Grand Champion Teruno Fuji and Sekiwake Mitakeimi were tied for first place with just one loss each. Let's see how things played out on day 12. Mitakeimi is gunning for his third title and a promotion to the second highest rank of Ozeki. A good hit by Onosho. Onosho pulls and Mitakeimi hits the deck. Mitakeimi suffers his second defeat. Teruno Fuji is vying to become the first Yokozuna in 103 years to win 3 consecutive titles right after his Yokozuna debut. Meisei charges. Teruno Fuji advances, but Meisei swings Teruno Fuji out. Teruno Fuji goes down for the second time. A wrestler who's also in the mix for the championship is rank-and fighter Abi. He began day 12 with just 2 losses. Abi contended for the championship till the last moment in November. He's making an impact again this time. Abi pounds Takanosho. Abi shoves Takanosho out. Abi remains at 2 losses. All right, day 12 was very exciting with lots of upsets. And here are the current standings. Teruno Fuji, Mitakeimi and Abi are in a 3-way tie for the top spot, each at 10 wins and 2 losses. Kotono Waka remains in striking distance at 9-3. And that'll do it for today's Sumo Sum Up. Be sure to watch the final 3 days to find out who walks away with the Empress Cup.
Heavy snow in Toronto caused massive traffic problems earlier this week. Our meteorologist Sakamori lets us know about how the weather is shaping up for North America and other parts of the world in this weather update.
Hello there. Earlier this week, Toronto was hit by more than 30 centimeters of snow in just one day. Heavy snow caused a lot of problem over the city. Take a look at this video. This footage by eyewitnesses shows cars standing crosswise on the highway in Toronto. A number of motorists were left stranded after a blizzard caused road closures and even flight cancellations. By Tuesday, conditions eased somewhat to allow hundreds of plow trucks to clear some snow. Temperatures are quite low over the Great Lakes region as well as Ontario and Quebec, so bundle up. Meanwhile, there's a long frontal system stretching from the southern U.S. to eastern Canada. Be careful of freezing rain if you're in the Carolinas and also southern parts of the U.S., including Texas as well as Louisiana. More snow is possible over the Rockies, and temperatures will be -11 for the daytime high in Toronto on Friday, -2 in the U.S. capital. Thunderstorms are possible in Miami with a high of 27. Meanwhile, a big high-pressure system is bringing calm conditions across western parts of Europe, but it's quite windy in northern Poland as well as the Baltic states. Gusts could be over 100 kilometers per hour because of this low-pressure system. More snow is possible over parts of Turkey, maybe up to 25 centimeters of snow. Snow will be piling up over the mountains in the Balkan Peninsula too. Temperatures will be right at the freezing point in Kyiv on Friday, -3 in Moscow and 16 in Athens with sunny weather. Meanwhile, snow is still piling up along the Sea of Japan side of the country, and Shumarina saw -27.7 degrees on Thursday. It was 15 degrees colder than normal for this time of year. Cold air and snow will continue to affect many places of the Sea of Japan side of the nation, at least for the next couple of days. That's it for me. Stay safe.